This time we're taking a look at ticker symbol SFL, that's Ship Finance International. The chart we're looking at today is a weekly chart. Each candlestick on this chart representing 1 week of trading. This is a very long-term chart for a long-term play requested from Computer1313 on Reddit. So thanks for the request. I know you were looking for a longer-term play, so I'm doing this analysis a little bit different than I normally would. So we have our pivot points, these white lines, and then we have this downtrending line. Well, it's a trend line, and it is downtrending. This big red line right there. Now, as you can see, it's been tested a few times here in the past. This is actually, looks like it was tested in September 2014, then a few times all around September 2015, all the way to November. And then, once again, we were denied there this year, right around the start of June and the start of May. So if we zoom in, we can get a closer look at where this thing was tested. So you can see each test was making a lower high. So we are indeed in a downtrend. And in order for this to break away, we're going to need to break above this trend line. We have a little bit of resistance on the way up. Let's take a look at that resistance. I'm going to switch my tool here to the good old rectangle. So we're currently in this channel right here. This channel is between 1385 and 1485, interestingly. So $13.85 and $14.85. That's the channel that we're in currently. So we're going to need to break this channel to the upside in order to get to this next channel here. Next channel being between $15.30 and that $14.85 area. So if we can break there, obviously $14.85 will become our support, and then we can work our way into testing this trend line again. Now, as you notice, there is a space here. So technically we could test it in this area. However, that's going to mean we're going to have a sharp increase in price, and we'll see it increase within the next 2 months. And I'm not thinking that's too likely based on the overall downtrend that we're in and the moving averages. I think it's more likely that we test it right around here, right in this area here. So you're looking probably at testing that area right around October 2016. So unless there's some major news or a major shift in this market, I don't think SFL is going to be testing this trend line in the next few months. Probably looking about to the end of summer. So let's kind of go down and take a look at this bottom channel. Worst case scenario, we fall down here, and that's going to be a channel between $13.85 and $13 even. So it wouldn't be the worst falling off, but we definitely don't want to be down there. Let's zoom out once again. So we take a look. This bottom channel has been tested multiple times. If we zoom in here, you can see we were channeling here a bit, and then we broke up in the channel. And actually, interestingly enough, this candle only tested it basically that week. So that week it broke up. There must have been some pretty good news there or something. Actually, look at that. It was probably earnings and then a dividend. You can take a look down here at the bottom. So we had earnings, boosting it up, nice green candle there, and then once again a nice little run up into the dividend. So that makes sense. And then over here, once again, earnings and then dividend. So it seems like this runs off earnings. Look at that. Once again, earnings runs up a bit, and dividend, we kind of fell off, but we did run again. Now here, this is the first time that we kind of downtrended off earnings, so maybe those earnings weren't as good. Then if we go here, once again, earnings, and then, so it looks like it kind of broke away from that trend, but for a while there, upon earnings, let's see, that was back in 09. Every earnings release, this thing was running a bit. Let's take a look at some of the recent earnings, not the earnings themselves, but the price movement upon the earnings. So we're going to be looking at this area. All right, so it looks like we downtrended off those earnings. Over here, once again, downtrended off those earnings. Over here, we returned to that trend where we ran off earnings. And then once again here, very nice run off earnings. Here, once again, a little run off earnings would be right here. And then 2 more to go. So we had earnings on this candle, nice green candle, and then the most recent earnings was right here, 5:30. And you can see May 30th, looks like those earnings weren't so good, and that's where we kind of downtrended again. But there was a little run up into the earnings, and you can see we had that 13 average cross above the 20 average, and then we were pushing above the 50 average, which was really good. So that's really bullish, the fact that we crossed above the 50 average. But once again, we were denied on that trend line. So you can see that trend line is some very serious resistance that we just haven't really been able to have broken. So we do have earnings coming up, assuming that's correct. You know, earnings are sometimes estimated. Might not be the actual date, but it looks like on 8/29 we're going to have another earnings released. Incidentally enough, if you remember earlier in the video, I mentioned that we would probably be testing that trend line. Was it August? I said maybe it wasn't, but I did say it was right around then, I think. So interestingly enough, yeah, that's right when the earnings are. So the good news is, if we kind of bounce off this support and leg up here, and then the earnings are good, then we're primed to finally break out of this downtrend, and then we can really start making an uptrend. It's already kind of starting a very mini uptrend here. You see we have our lows, and then our lows there. So if we bounce and make some lows here, and then have earnings here, then we are indeed primed to break those earnings and start a nice uptrend. So let's see how that goes down. So, you know, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Give it a few months, and let's see if we can break that downtrend. It looks like we'll be testing it around $15.25 to around the mid $15 area. So just keep that in mind. That's when we can probably expect a test of that trend line there, right around that earnings report, which is estimated to be on 8/31. So the last day of August, right before September, probably be testing right around the mid $15 area. That's my assumption. And based off the averages, you know, we still have to beat this 50-period average, but indeed the 13 and 20 are starting to look more bullish. So it does make sense that that could happen. There's not much else to take a look at on this chart. I hope this helped you out, Computer1313. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to send me a message either here on YouTube or on Reddit, and I'll get back to you ASAP. Anyone else watching, if you have any comments, feel free to leave them below, and I'll definitely take a look. Hope you enjoyed this analysis, and I'll catch you next time.